is this person one of the most influential people in America? I knew if I went and I gave interviews on the red carpet, Mark.
Hollywood has once again publicly embarrassed Blake Lively following her most recent attention-seeking move.
Really? The titan Blake Lively is now trying to convince us that she is a victim because her mother was.
During the 2025 Time 100 Gala, Blake exploited her mother's traumatic ordeal as a full-blown publicity stunt, turning the evening into a spectacle that humiliated both herself and anyone still feigning applause.
And now Blake Lively. What? They talk about how stunning they look, nothing else. I don't know what happened to TMZ. Maybe they're scared of being dragged into this lawsuit.
Meanwhile, Ryan Reynolds could be spotted shielding his face, helplessly watching their entire fabricated empire collapse before his very eyes.
It really clicked, and it clicked in every part of my life.
Blake Lively really convinced herself she was Harriet Tubman reborn. I mean, in all my life, I've never witnessed anyone prounce about so smugly, carrying on like she single-handedly freed the slaves with nothing more than a dramatic hair flip and a cupcake.
There's a lot of controversy right now with Blake being on the Time 100 list.
It's a ridiculous joke. She shouldn't be there. She has no influence over anything. I think she launched a fake Me Too allegation against him, and
There she stood in a head-to-toe ensemble fit for someone who'd just eradicated systemic racism, grinning from ear to ear as she drifted across that red carpet. And, if that grandiose fantasy wasn't over the top enough, Time magazine actually had the nerve to sandwich Blake Lively smack dab between Serena Williams and Simone Biles.
She's gonna claim in court that she had all these damages and trauma, but she's totally fine going on red carpets.
Two bona fide legends who've shattered records, confronted racial injustice, and embodied genuine hardship. And then there's Blake, the woman who apparently believes that hosting plantation-themed weddings and starring in L'Oreal's contrived Cherokee photo shoots constitute meaningful civil rights activism. By featuring her in its April 2020 issue, Time magazine has forever tarnished its own reputation. And of course, Plantation Barbie now gets to bask in her artificial glow.
What? They talk about how stunning they look, nothing else. I don't know what happened to TMZ. Maybe they're scared of being dragged into this lawsuit, and now they're just changing lanes here. So Blake Lively had this speech. Someone recorded it and put it online.
And that wasn't even the end of it. Megyn Kelly, never one to soften her criticism, even tore into Blake for repackaging her mother's trauma as a brazen, clout-chasing PR maneuver. Kelly denounced the stunt as downright revolting, condemning Blake for parading deeply personal pain like a Hollywood prop just to score hollow sympathy points.
Her mom to get sympathy, and posing with her everywhere on the red carpet and sitting next to her talking about her and her supportive husband. It was just like, we're not buying it.
Megyn didn't hold back. She voiced the unspoken truth. Genuine survivors don't flaunt their family's pain on stage as if it were a glittering accessory. Her scorchingly precise takedown reverberated even through a pixelated live stream. And not even lagging Wi-Fi could salvage Blake's already shattered dignity.
So interestingly enough, Megyn Kelly was there, and she was interviewed about Blake Lively, and she was like, this is a ridiculous honor. So Daily Mail interviewed her, and she said this.
I'm definitely hoping for some sort of a selfie in the distance with both Blake Lively and Meghan Markle, since they provided me with so many hours of content.
Meanwhile, Ryan Reynolds was doing his utmost to stay composed, but ultimately failed. The man famous for defusing every tense moment with a quip suddenly exploded in a blistering rage right there on the red carpet. The veneer of the picture-perfect, ever-smiling couple finally cracked, and it shattered spectacularly. In that instant, Ryan looked as if he might either punch a nearby wall or file for divorce on the spot.
And I'll be honest, it does feel odd. It feels forced where he's out there being presented as, oh yeah, we gotta put you out there. We gotta be the man of the people. Everyone loves Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool. But there's just something missing.
To be frank, it was the first hint of real emotion either of them has revealed on a public stage in years. Behind the scenes, Hollywood insiders were already whispering cutting jabs at Blake. But once that red carpet meltdown happened, they went in for the kill. They're now dubbing it her so-called Plantation Barbie Redemption Tour. And there's nothing affectionate in the tone. Her meticulously crafted facade of glitzy glamour and manufactured activism is collapsing faster than her publicist can muster fake Instagram adoration.
Oh my God, I can't believe Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds showed up at the Time 100 gala last night in New York, pretending like nothing.
And if you thought Blake couldn't embarrass herself any further, behold her Time 100 speech. A tone-deaf fiasco that left viewers desperate to disentangle from their own bodies. She opened with a solemn trigger warning, complete with a drawn-out pause and imaginary tissues at the ready, only to deliver virtually nothing of substance. All the while, she cloaked herself in her mother's traumatic past like bulletproof armor, yet managed to say almost nothing concrete.
Blake Lively brought her mother with her because she was using her story to tell a powerful story about abuse and women and blah blah.
The whole thing felt like one giant performance piece.
The entire spectacle played out like an overblown theatrical act. And of course, Time 100 conveniently neglected to remind everyone that Blake's 2012 nuptials were a full-blown plantation-themed affair. After all, what better way to champion social justice than by celebrating amid the very soil where enslaved people were laid to rest? It's called common decency, Blake. You might want to look it up.
And now they're just changing lanes here. So Blake Lively had this speech. Someone recorded it and put it online. She talked about how her mother was almost killed by a co-worker before she was born, and then her mother heard on the radio another woman talking about how she survived abuse.
Instead of directing her attention to the black community she professed to uplift that evening, Blake commandeered her address in front of million-dollar cameras and morphed it into a cheaply sentimental Hallmark knockoff centered solely on her own life narrative. As though anyone needed any further proof that her so-called activism begins and ends with her name emblazoned in neon on her personal brand.
She wanted me to share with you that she is the survivor of the worst crime someone can commit against a woman.
Adorned in a $25,000 couture gown, she pontificated on survival and strength even as she flaunted a level of luxury that none of the people she professes to champion could hope to afford in 10 lifetimes. The hypocrisy was so thick you could have spread it on toast and passed it around at the afterparty.
It's not for us to have shame. It's for them.
The audience's live responses were, honestly, the cherry on top. Faces were frozen everywhere, not in some Botox-induced freeze, but in genuine, soul-leaking from the body awkwardness. People erupted into applause as though they were under duress, forced to clap along like hostages.
The story didn't make any sense to me.
The woman painfully and graphically shared how she was staked. And because of hearing that woman speak to her experience instead of shutting down in fear and unfair shame, my mom is alive today.
And then there was that lone woman dressed in sleek black, caught dead center on camera cringing without the faintest attempt to conceal her discomfort. Her look was the embodiment of every poor soul subjected to an overly slurred, tipsy wedding toast delivered by someone they barely know. To be honest, she more than earns a Pulitzer for that wordless performance alone. She distilled into one perfect cringe the unspoken sentiments of every single person in that room, too polite to voice their true feelings.
Whatsoever, and I feel like Blake Lively is just desperate to look like a victim, and now she's using her mom to make her look more like a victim. All of us have stories. All of us have mothers with stories. And I feel this was just a PR stunt.
Just when it seemed the humiliation couldn't deepen any further, Reynolds, the perpetually beleaguered PR marionette, delivered the defining red carpet moment. On April 25th, 2025, right there for every camera to capture, Ryan can be seen brusquely flicking aside the voluminous expanse of Blake's train. And don't be fooled, it wasn't a chivalrous assist, but a frantic bid to keep himself from tripping spectacularly in front of the entire world.
But there's just something missing. It feels awkward. You can also see he's nervous. He feels very nervous. Is he going to get asked a question? At some of these softball places like Time, they clearly aren't. And the question is, like, why is he even there at the Time Summit? Was this part of the deal in order to get Blake Lively on the list? Did Leslie Sloan say, and we'll give you Ryan for your Creative Summit live in person?
Honestly, there was nothing remotely understated about it. He didn't even bother feigning chivalry. Just raw, instinctual self-preservation kicking in on full display. Frankly, it might be the most genuine, unfiltered move he's pulled off since he started donning that Mr. Perfect Husband charade for the cameras.
We name it, we change it. Just as our fellow Time 100 honoree, the incredible Giselle Pellicot put it to every woman who understood, it's not for us to have shame, it's for them.
And just when you thought it couldn't get any more contrived, some reporter bellowed out, "Blake, we've got your back," right in the midst of the red carpet mayhem. Because nothing says authentic encouragement like a painfully transparent PR stooge from the Hollywood Reporter. It was so forced you could almost taste the marketing. Even Blake looked utterly flummoxed, giving that strained half-smile, as if she'd just realized the ruse was too blatant, yet the cameras were already rolling. Peak cringe, indeed.
Controversy right now with Blake being on the Time 100 list.
It's a ridiculous joke. She shouldn't be there. She has no influence over anyone.
Yeah, so the reporter asked if she was scared of meeting Blake Lively, and she's like, no, I think she's going to be the one avoiding me.
And let's talk about Ryan's face for a heartbeat, because the man couldn't conceal the storm of emotions raging behind his eyes, even if he'd tried. Close-up stills captured his glare cutting through Blake, like she'd incinerated his beloved Deadpool costume. This wasn't mere anger. It was that raw, untamed, bone-deep, "I regret every single choice that led me to this exact moment" kind of rage.
Issues there, and I don't know why Ryan Reynolds was doing this speech yesterday that I also talked about. He was interviewed on stage. He was asked questions that he didn't answer, and he was sitting like, when you look at his body language in that interview, he's sitting like this scared little child in that chair.
Even lip-reading sleuths online are convinced that Ryan quietly muttered, "What the?" under his breath. And honestly, given the intensity of his scowl, I'm inclined to agree. Popcorn Planet's April 2025 breakdown immortalized the moment in gloriously exaggerated slow motion. And by then, Ryan had entirely abandoned any pretense of concealing his sheer revulsion.
I don't know if he did that on purpose to look more like a victim, or if he just felt really uncomfortable sitting there. But there was nothing uncomfortable about Blake Lively posing on the red carpet.
And TikTok. Oh, TikTok went absolutely bonkers. In a matter of hours, #RiotIsOver exploded across everyone's feeds like wildfire. Devotees who once lionized them are now declaring the veneer has finally shattered. No more posturing, no more glossy PR smoke screens, just raw, unfiltered pandemonium. The internet has unanimously voted. The self-styled king and queen of plastic perfection are finished.
Of the two of them posing on the red carpet has been everywhere today, and they look so happy and so relaxed.
Just when you figured the circus had already peaked in absurdity, the universe leaned in and said, "Hold my beer." At the Time 100 gala, Blake Lively suddenly looked as though she might be expecting. Because apparently the surest way to plead for public mercy is to debut another perfectly timed PR baby bump.
This was a good idea. I kid you not. This is, again, one of the dumbest PR moves. Just a woman who is in denial, attempting to gaslight the entire world who is witnessing what's actually happening.
Viral TikTok clips had an absolute field day, relentlessly zooming in on the unmistakably bulging curve of her midsection. And I mean unmistakable. This wasn't some optical illusion conjured by a gown or an angle. Blake looked like she was moments away from unveiling baby number for the second the jeers crescendoed. And talk about impeccable timing. This conveniently timed bump revelation came hot on the heels of the internet's savage takedown of her plantation-inspired pageantry and her contrived victim narrative. Who could have predicted such a textbook PR maneuver?
This is something they reiterate a lot. We disagree, here's why, but worst case scenario, if we lose, we are allowed legally to go make an amendment, and we should at least be doing that.
Sowing pregnancy rumors has become Blake's default tactic when she needs a quick crisis fix. And truth be told, it's embarrassingly unoriginal. This is the exact same tired maneuver she pulled back in 2016, amid the Cafe Society backlash, when the public woke up to realize Blake Lively wasn't merely dull. She also came off as outright tone-deaf. Do you recall how, at the very instant her notorious LA face, Oakland booty, Instagram fiasco ignited a social media firestorm, bam. A surprise pregnancy announcement dropped? Fast forward to April 2025, and she's dusting off that same ragged playbook all over again.
Is giving a pep talk to Blake before she's about to give her speech. Look at how cute they are. Oh, he's such a perfect man. Oh.
She's clearly banking on a baby bump to overshadow her audacious attempt to co-opt the civil rights movement for some glossy magazine photo op. News alert, Blake. The internet remembers everything, and no adorable bump is going to exonerate you. Critics wasted zero time eviscerating her, racing to highlight how she's once more cloaking herself in the maternal mantle to deflect from those legal quagmires. We hear you, Blake. Motherhood is a gift, but it's not a one-way ticket out of accountability.
If her mother, if this is true, because Blake Lively has told a lot of story previously, as we've all found out, that hasn't always been like factually correct.
Using it as a human shield to deflect your own questionable antics? That playbook's exhausted. Sympathy has been declared extinct. You won't find a single TikTok or YouTube reply string that isn't rolling its eyes in unison. At this point, Blake could literally give birth live on stage, and the audience would still be hollering. Fine, but what about that bogus lawsuit?
And of course, as always, there was so much word salad in this speech. I didn't quite understand how her mother was saved by a person she heard on the radio. If it saved her that she could get away physically from this man who tried to harm her.
Meanwhile, as Blake was busy conjuring a saccharine Hallmark-style scene on the red carpet, Ryan Reynolds was across town unleashing his own second-hand embarrassment extravaganza at the 2025 Time 100 Creative Summit. On April 26, 2025, he practically strode onto the stage as if held at gunpoint. Each reluctant step and glazed look broadcasting loud and clear that he'd rather be anywhere but there.
The last one I did, I mentioned that the greatest superpower I ever had in my life, I'm not talking about just my career or anything, was knowing who I am. And when you're young and you're in your 20s, you're trying, at least I was, you're trying on personalities like they're shirts.
And for the grand finale, Reynolds managed to steer clear of any direct reference to Blake, as though each word risked triggering a hidden explosion. When the host tossed out the gentlest, most sugar-coated question about the negative headlines, Ryan's eyes told the whole story. He looked as if he was witnessing his own career implode in real time.
Are saying about you. So how has that media attention impacted your brand, your businesses?
Well, it's a good question. And she didn't ask the elephant in the room, but she kind of did, right? It's like, how does all the negative attention affect your businesses?
Rather than give a straightforward response like any reasonable person, Reynolds spiraled into a rambling, illogical TED-style soliloquy about the odyssey of self-discovery. After all, nothing conveys, "I'm completely stable and not losing it," quite like shuffling across a stage in an unpressed suit, babbling about hoarding other people's personalities as though they were infinity stones plucked from a cosmic buffet.
He did admit it.
Stealing from one, and you've pulled all these different references in and these feelings, and you know yourself. And what I think is, here's how I know. Someone asked me if one of us was leaving, the end of things. How did you know? And I said, what? How did you know that you knew who you were?
Yes, indeed. In the year of our Lord 2025, Ryan Reynolds unguardedly confessed that he lacks any authentic personality of his own. He spent his entire existence cobbling together quirks and mannerisms pilfered from more interesting people, like a Marvel mastermind assembling a DIY character sheet. Bravo, friend. You're no Deadpool. You're literally a walking Pinterest board.
You're literally just, I'll be this person, I'll be that person, and one day you've stolen from 1,000, so you're a genius, not a thief. And it's
just thank you for finally admitting you stole it from a lot of people. A lot of people do, but he did admit it.
God bless the audience. They valiantly tried to conceal their internal cringe, but the act fell apart immediately. You could hear those half-hearted chuckles echoing around the room, feel the restless seat shifting, and sense the suffocating silence each time Reynolds went for a punchline. It got so dire that even the interviewer, tasked with tossing him softball questions, ended up basking in the spotlight. Just imagine Ryan Reynolds, the guy paid to be hilarious, completely outshone in charm by a Time magazine host. Talk about a career nadir.
So lauding, it's just like, this guy should have a Nobel Prize for blah, 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 blah.
So, I don't mean to interrupt, but I got to add the commentary. It is also a tell there. He reads everything about it. He's admitting it. We just heard him admit it. So he's clearly watching and reading. We knew this. We assumed this, let's say. But he just confirmed.
And the internet absolutely unleashed its fury, holding nothing back. The comments under his video morphed into a no-holds-barred roasting ground. Shame on you, Ryan. You're so phony. People jeered, accusing him of spinning a web of lies for years. The onslaught was merciless. There wasn't a single loyal fan faction left to mount any defense. You know it's truly dire when a star of Ryan's caliber can't even rally a handful of hopeless defenders to drown out the trolls. Normally, celebrities of his stature inspire legions clamoring to shout, "Leave him alone." But Ryan had nothing, just wall-to-wall evisceration from start to finish.
All a PR stunt. I'm like uncomfortable. I'm visibly uncomfortable watching them sort of force themselves through.
Even his ubiquitous Mint Mobile spots, the ones so over the top and cornball he's been pushing for ages, have literally had all comments nuked. Not just buried, but disabled outright. Apparently, even the man hawking budget cell phone plans couldn't withstand the deluge of hate. I suppose Mint's new mantra is now, please, internet, stop ragging on Ryan Reynolds in our comment threads, because it's as if their own network can't handle the barrage.
That aren't true. They're not what I know to be my story. And it really clicked. And it clicked in every part of my life. And, as someone who skipped rehab in his 20s and decided to go to conflict resolution workshops in Santa Fe, which I both recommend and I do not recommend.
If you're scratching your head over how this PR calamity ever received the green light, look no further than the so-called brilliance of Leslie Sun at Time magazine. Rumor has it, courtesy of Hollywood insiders, that the whole fiasco was nothing more than an elaborate quid pro quo. Time wouldn't have had a leg to stand on when crowning Plantation Barbie among their prestigious Time 100 unless Ryan Reynolds signed on to make a live appearance at their creative summit. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. Only now everyone's backs are literally getting scorched, because the scheme blew up so spectacularly that you almost have to applaud the sheer audacity.
My life was influenced most by my mother, sitting here tonight, Lily Elaine McAlpin.
Oh, Blake's mother!
Scuttlebutts reached a fever pitch that Blake's Time 100 keynote was never merely a tone-deaf blunder. It was a calculated bundle deal. Hand over a live appearance by Reynolds, and will conveniently gloss over Blake's plantation-themed nuptials and her shady legal entanglements, the rumor mill insists. But judging by the collective winces at both red carpet spectacles, the only thing they truly packaged was their dignity, unceremoniously dumped straight into a garbage bin.
Their dignity. Straight into a trash can.
There they are. Look, I gotta be honest, they are trying so hard. All these photos are just so ridiculous. Look at the gown. This photo really took the cake for me.
Meanwhile, Reynolds' brand has taken such a pounding that Popcorn Planet is already sounding the alarm. Deadpool 3 itself could be in jeopardy. And this isn't mere conjecture, it's cold, hard numbers. Ryan's approval ratings have plummeted off a sheer cliff. Meanwhile, TikTok analytics from April 2025 reveal that 60% of the buzz around Blake's Time 100 gala appearance was nothing but unfiltered hate. 60%. She can't even fool the masses into fake applause anymore.
Ryan looks terrified. Like, Ryan genuinely stuck between these women. All a PR stunt.
And the debacle only deepens. Word is their glam squad stylists, and even their veteran PR teams, are bailing in droves. Imagine being so toxic that the very people you pay to spin your stories shrug and say, "Nah, we'll pass." When your own publicist starts hunting for fresh clients, you know you've truly bottomed out. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have officially become Hollywood's hottest potato, and nobody wants to grab the handle.
In a time where the most valuable currency seems to be anger, it feels like an act of defiance to commune and celebrate all the good that is alive in the world, and the many here tonight who either challenge the system and or show us the magic exists on Earth.
Just when you thought Blake Lively's star had nowhere left to fall, Hollywood delivered the ultimate sucker punch courtesy of the so-called Billionaire Girls Club. The gossip machine went into warp speed when Brittany Mahomes, yes, that Brittany from Kansas City Chiefs royalty, allegedly spilled that Blake made a play for Justin Baldoni, and got flat out turned down. April 2025 saw that scandalous scoop detonate across every corner of the internet like a viral wildfire.
Me Too allegation against him, and she's lived to regret doing it because virtually every allegation she has made has fallen apart. And so for her to be honored for doing that, to try to ruin a man over absolutely nothing, is a scandal.
And honestly, it sheds light on everything. Blake swooped in on Justin like she was vying for a spot on Desperate Housewives' Suburban Showdown. When he casually replied, "I'm good, thanks," she snapped into full Psycho X territory. Rather than handling it like a grown-up and moving on, she allegedly opted to try and torpedo his career with a bogus lawsuit. Because in Blake Lively's world, a little romantic rejection doesn't stay private. It becomes headline-grabbing Hollywood drama.
Blake and Ryan and her mother decided to attend the Time 100 gala. There they are. Look.
And guess who wanted absolutely no part of that mess? Taylor Swift. Taylor, queen of calculating her every public move, started aggressively pulling away faster than Blake could fake another trauma speech.